Hello, I'm Super Orange Cat here with some news about today's events at New York Comic Con. Online panels happened today for Blade Runner Black Lotus and for Shenmue. These are two titles that are announced Toonami originals that have been well hyped for the past year or so. And first things first, I'm going to go for the big lead, and that is Blade Runner Black Lotus has been announced to air on Toonami at midnight on November 13th, and it has also been announced to be a 1 hour premiere. This is similar to Phantom Pirate Princess, and also indicates that they are going to kind of do the, how do I say, the push the chips to the front, to the middle of the table with the show, having it presumably be the lead off show if there's no uh, add-ons to the block ahead of the midnight hour, which is unexpected. So again, similar strategy of Phantom Part Princess. Put your original right up front and hope that gets the ratings. And I watched the trailer. Some of my thoughts are they definitely spent time on the animation, but at the same time, it kind of feels like feels like they use, and I use these words specifically, an upgrade of Source Filmmaker. If you know what Source Filmmaker is most commonly used for, then you know why this is hilarious to me. And yeah, and again, and this honestly does in a way capture the feelings the original Blade Runner, at least the trailer did. But at the same time, I can't help but have this nagging feeling that they're gonna really genlock this one up. And yeah, it's like I'm optimistic because so far I haven't seen anything that looks bad. But again, I've been burnt before and I do not want to get burnt again. And you can see how these things go. Now, the next thing we have is Shenmue. We got an announcement that it will be on Toonami sometime in 2022. And we also got a bit of a trailer. And the animation looked a bit rough to me, but again, there's still a year, there's still time to fix it up. Like, go back and look at the early trailers for Phantom Pirate Princess when it was like first announced. It looks completely different than the product we have now, and the product we have now is much, much better animation, much, much better looking, much, much better produced. And ultimately, look, and of my complaints I've had about Phantom Pirate Princess, none of them have been about the animation because the animation's really good. It's really well done. They spent a lot of time and effort in it, and I appreciate that. And again, Shenmue still has a year, and it's based off of the Sega game. And again, that's another interesting thing. Both of these titles are based off of previous known franchises. Shenmue's somewhat obscure. It is a video game series from Sega, and from what they're looking like they're gonna do in the anime, from how they presented it in the promo, they're gonna use this more as like an introduction to it, which I think is good because it's more accessible to the viewers. Black Lotus, I'm a little bit worried because again, Blade Runner, even though it's really only technically one movie, it's kind of ballooned into this big like franchise in a weird way. Like, well, we did have a remake movie a couple years ago, like Blade Runner 2049 or something like that. But and it was actually a rare remake that was actually kind of well received too. And it's gonna be interesting to see how this runs. In a weird way, this is a bit of a compliment back to Blade Runner. It kind of reminds me in a weird way of something, say, like Star Wars Clone Wars, which was extremely well received in its heyday. And I think it actually got a little bit of airtime in Toonami. Actually, I think it might have had like a late slot in like Toonami early in Adult Swim days as well. I forgot about that specifically, but again, it gives me those vibes. And ultimately, to wrap things up, I have a general feeling of optimism about these two series. But again, I've been burnt before. Tanami's originals have a very mixed history. Like on the good side, you get Space Dandy, and admittedly, you can throw Phantom Pirate Princess in the good pile too. But again, we do have the Fully Cooley sequels also count as Tanami originals, which are not quite as good. And that's another thing. I look at the promos. If you pay attention to the promos, at no point do they ever say the word Toonami. They mention Adult Swim. They mention Crunchyroll. They don't mention Toonami at large. And I think that's interesting. And this is a bit of conspiracy there I'm going to shoot out here. I think when they first made this, they weren't even sure Toonami is going to exist at this point because, again, you had this year where we had a whole year where almost nothing came out of Japan. Tanami looked to be on ice. We had to have Jim set of Death Beats and Ball Master Season 2 count as Tanami shows. Those are the dark times at Toonami right there. And I think there were some people who, at least at the time, thought, perhaps realistically, that there might not be Toonami at this point. But again, Toonami still exists. How long does it exist? Well, I don't know. You don't know. We don't know. Some guy in a boardroom at Warner Media probably knows, and that's the only person who does know. But again, until then, we just have the shows to watch and the shows to enjoy. So again, to wrap things up, New York Comic Con, we will have November 13th at midnight, Blade Runner Black Lotus making its belated debut on the block, and Shenmue, we've got a rough date. It will come out in 2022. I'm a Super Orange Cat, and that is all.